and welcome to our first ever live event here from Roscrea. We're live from our new office, and today we're going to be talking about a very exciting launch. So what we're going to be launching and talking about is all about our herd intelligence. And so today we're going to be launching Herdy. It's very exciting for the team, and we're going to be going through where the idea came about, and some of the ideas that the team from Herdwatch, but also farmers who have been using it and testing it out the last few weeks, and just get their feedback on it, and also just to show to everybody at home what's it all about. So we're going to have some special guests. We have Andrew Darmody from Tipperary, a mixed enterprise farmer. He has been with Herdwatch for many, many years. And we also have Farmer Phil as well, will be joined with Andrew. But up first, we have some people who are closer to the office, closer to home. So we have James Greavy and Pat Bulger. So just tell us a little bit about yourselves first. We'll start with you, James. Just a little bit about who you are, what you do, and how long you've been with Herdwatch.
Thanks, Katie. So my name is James Greavy. I am the Director of Product with Herdwatch. So what I do is try to look at the solutions that we're developing for our customers, so our farmer, vet and enterprise customers, and how we can ultimately try and use technology to try and solve their problems, make life easier, remove paperwork, and try and make farming a little bit more sustainable from a financial and environmental point of view. So I've been with Herdwatch 10 years. I came with this table and sort of, the ones that go on soon, I'd say.
So you've been there from day dot, really?
No, almost.
Nearly. And yourself, Pat?
Yeah, Pat Bulger. I'm the Director of Technology. I've been here for 5 years. I've 25 years experience across many industries, but always obviously developing either web or cloud-based technologies. We've a large team of developers dotted across Europe and in Ireland that I guess builds the foundations for the technologies that we use today. We try to build everything as best in class, which means that it's on a par with any other technologies that are out there.
Great. So something in Herdwatch that we take great pride in is that a lot of people that work here are actually farmers as well. So I'll come to you first, James. So you are a farmer yourself. Unfortunately, not from a mighty county, but we won't hold that against you. So if you could tell me, what problems are farmers facing today that inspired this creation of Herdy?
So first of all, Roscrea is paradise, so just to clear that up. So I suppose one of the big challenges with farming is, particularly the last number of years, is there's more and more data, I suppose, really piling up. So you have everything from a compliance point of view. So I need to have that data. I need to have whether I have ICBF, EBI, breeding data, milk recording data, March, factory prices. It's just piles and piles of data. And the big challenge is, like, how do you take that data and turn it into information that I can make better, more informed farm decisions. And the point of Herdy really is that it takes that data out of silos, so it's not in a website here, or it's another part of the app over there, and a notebook over there, and brings it all to one place, so you can actually ask questions of it. You can actually interact with it in the same way you would bring an advisor onto your farm who's an expert in all these areas and ask them a direct question. So Herdy lets you ask direct questions of your farm's data in that, okay, what's my best performing cows, which cows are going to give me the most milk this year, which cows should I think about culling because actually they're not performing at all within my herd. And just ask it in the same way you'd WhatsApp your friend or the neighbour down the road to try and make a decision. It's that sort of within the app. So it just simplifies how farmers interact with data and turns it into information that they can actually use to make better decisions.
Yeah, great, makes sense. Coming to you, Pat, and so I know I was at home telling my own father, who's a farmer, about this and what I was coming up to Herdwatch today to talk about. And as soon as I mentioned the word AI, it wasn't artificial intelligence he was thinking about. He was thinking of artificial insemination, which is what the majority of farmers will associate with AI. So just Herdwatch Intelligence, tell me in simple terminology, because there will be a lot of farmers listening today who might know the technical side of it, but tell us, in simple terms, what is Herdy and how does it work?
I guess the easiest way to explain it is if you think about Google and the way that people use Google and they want to ask questions on Google to get back information. What Herdie is doing is rather than you having to filter through all those links and data that you get back, it's condensing the information into as concise and a relevant answer as possible. And not only that, if you think about what was like some people will be familiar with ChatGPT and with other AI that has been developed by Microsoft and Google and other companies. What Herdie is doing is it's taking your question, trying to understand what you're asking, but then going to sources that are relevant to farming. So it will go to maybe some government body websites. It will take your region and maybe make the response more regional. It could incorporate the weather if you're asking it to do some things on the field. And it'll look at possibly at your data and your data alone and combine all of these into a response that is hopefully as concise and meaningful to you as possible. So it's like Google on steroids. Basically, it's giving you a concise piece of information and a precise response to your question as opposed to a scattered kind of approach.
Well, I think the regional thing is very interesting because, you know, Herdwatch, we're obviously a global company now, and I can imagine, you know, there's people from Ireland, the UK, and North America putting in data, you know, questions and information. So it will be specific to where it'll know where you are.
Absolutely, it'll know exactly where you are. So if you're in the US, the response will be more appropriate to that region. Similarly to the UK and to Ireland and to other places in Europe. And again, it's using your data, which obviously in your data is specific to your region. So it is using that as well to formulate the response.
Excellent. So James, Pat mentioned there, it's like, you know, concising Google basically and ChatGPT and different platforms like that. But what makes Herdie different from these platforms? Like, what makes it better than, say, if a farmer was just to use ChatGPT?
Yeah, I suppose that's the kind of important point that Matt made about your farm, and I suppose the big thing that makes AI really, really powerful is having the context of who you are and why you're asking the question. So, and that's what Herdie has. So Herdie knows it's sitting inside your farm, so it knows who you are, so it knows you're a dairy farmer in North Roscrea. This is when you started calving, this is how many cows you have, this is the vaccination that you use. So it knows everything about your farm from a starting point. So that's the context of where you are. And then also actually when I'm in Ireland, so this is the regulatory environment, this is when I can start spreading slurry or start cutting hedges. So then when you ask a question, it has all that context to start off with. So that then helps it then say, okay, well, if I'm asking about, for example, one of the questions I asked is, what's my fertilizer allowance this year? Because in Ireland, fertilizer spreading is actually very complicated. So it knows I'm reporting on my fertilizer spreading in Herdwatch. It knows how much fertilizer I spread year to date. It knows the type of farm I have, the acres I have, because all my farm is mapped in Herdwatch. So then they can say, okay, if you spread this many ton, this is how much nitrogen you're allowed, this is how much phosphorus you're allowed to buy. So then it has all those things. So actually, that would take you literally hours try and come to the same conclusion yourself, where you can serve that back in a couple of seconds. So if they were to parse out all the context of who your farm is, who you are, why you're asking this question, where you are regionally, and then give you back an answer that you can actually stand over. And then also, within that too, it also shows, well, here's my sources too. So it kind of shows its homework, which is important as well. Because again, one of the things we're doing is we're putting an incredibly powerful assistant in the farm, on every farm. So showing that actually this is where I got the data, so this is how I stand over it. So I got your herd data obviously from your herd, and I got all this knowledge from all these different websites. So you know, okay, well, it actually came from Department of Agriculture, came from Choglis, or AHDB in the US, or advisory in UK. So that's where it really becomes super powerful, is that context of type of farmer that you are and why it's important you're asking these questions.
So basically what you're saying is farm advisors better watch out and maybe look for a different route of revenue. That's good. So Pat, then Herdie builds on, like, you know, the 10 to 12 years of Herdwatch data. How important is that for the foundation of making it a trustworthy source?
I guess like any system, the responses that you get are going to be based on the quality of the data that you have in the system. So if you maintained your record very well over many, many years, you would probably get a better response than you would if you're just a beginner and you've just updated some basic information. Obviously, the further you go back, there's seasonal elements, there's weather elements. So when it's looking at your data, they might be external factors that contribute to the quality of your data. So when we get a response, we're getting it. The more data we have, obviously, the better. Like any system, really, the better the quality of the response, and the more tailored it will be to your question.
Yeah, great. So James, at Herdwatch, one of our key messaging is, cutting down the amount of time you're spending on your paperwork. Obviously there's so much nowadays, but with Herdy, it's all about maybe cutting down the amount of time you're spending on making decisions or looking for the answers. How exactly does it do this? How exactly does it make decision making easy?
Well, again, it keeps coming back to the same thing of it has the context of your farm, so it already has that, those sources of data. So if I'm trying to make a decision around what cows should I cull or what cows should I breed heifers from, essentially I just ask it that. Instead of me having to sift through all the different spreadsheets or go through our web app version to try and filter down, okay, well, this is the criteria I want to have above this. I want to have above, say, whatever it is, 4.5% fat or this protein, or cows should be weaned at this weight. You don't have to create all those filters, and potentially if you're really sort of prolific with Excel, creating pivot tables and crazy stuff, which not many of us are, you can literally just say, okay, I want to keep all the cows that are, say, giving me whatever it is, 5,500 litres of milk and are doing over 480 kilograms of milk solids. Show me those cows.
Yeah.
And show me the ones that are beneath this category, and it'll do that. And so those are the type of questions you can ask of it. So rather than you spending potentially hours at it, days in my case, if you can just ask the question, here's the criteria, can you show me these animals, and then conversely, what are my worst performing cows, what should I look to cull, and to show them as well. So that's instant stuff as well. I suppose where it makes it very powerful is, I think a lot of farmers do a lot of thinking as they're walking around, and like you might be down in the parlour or in the parlour of the shed thinking of this. And then I suppose in the current way we do things, you have to come back and sit down from the desk and start rethinking about it. When really you're tired, you have no interest. But you can literally ask that question. You're sitting in the parlour, I can just plug in my headphones, and even now I can just use a text to speech on my phone and say, hey Herdy, tell me what cows I have doing these criteria, and it can just sort of back you an answer. So you can literally interact with it on the go, as opposed to having to sit down and make decisions there and then, unless you do everything while you're in the yard, in the milking parlour, down the field.
Straight from your phone.
Exactly.
Great. And so Pat, a lot of people, especially farmers and the farming community, the idea of technology, like even just the basic Herdwatch app, can be daunting to some people, and it can be seen as something new. And Herdy and Herd Intelligence and AI is a step up again from that. So for people watching who may be a little bit unsure of, security and where is their data going, and just in real basically keep it simple, how do you ensure that farmers' data is secure and that they remain in control of it while using Herdy?
I guess one way to look at that is when you ask a question to Herdy, again, Herdy tries to understand what you're trying to ask. So it understands what sources do I need to use to generate a response. As I said again, if there's an element of weather in that, it'll go to a weather API, it goes to your location. If there's like market prices, you're asking about what my animals worth, it'll go to another source to bring that information. Anytime it wants to get access or needs access to your data to enhance the responses, it's like having your data in a bucket or a container with a lid on it. And it'll just open the bucket, it'll go in, take on what information it needs, combine it with the response. So your data is always secure. It'll open the bucket, get what it needs, close the lid on the bucket, combine it with the response, and then return the answer to you. It'll never learn from your data. It's not built to learn from your data in the traditional sense. What it's meant to do is use your data to enhance its response. So your data is always secure and is always isolated in your own container.
Great, yeah. So that kind of just puts people's mind at ease.
Yeah.
They're worried a little bit. And so we are, maybe James, think big, future plans for Herdy. What would you love to see it, 5-10 years from now for it to look like?
So I suppose hoping on 5-10 years that we're hoping.
Accelerate.
Yeah, we're hoping over the next few months. So like we kind of mentioned before, but they'll be able to interact and ask questions of your data and all that stuff, and that's great. But then I suppose it relies on you getting the data in there. So that's a big focus. And we're doing a lot of stuff not outside of herding. For example, we're integrating weigh scales, milk and powders, heat and health collars, marts, everything. We're trying to integrate all that stuff. And that's all great where it all flows in. But ultimately when you're working in your farm or using your hands, so ideally what you want to do is make Herdwatch as hands-free as possible. So I'm dosing calves, say, where we're going to hopefully sort of next in the next year, as I just say, I've dosed 15 calves in the pen, say, hey Hurley, I dosed these 15 calves with 2 cc's of tribal backs, record that, and it'll be able to do that for you. So it'll be able to, essentially, you can give it tasks verbally without having to actually interact with your phone, and it'll just be able to record that. So then you've got on the one side you're able to ask questions and interact with your data very easily, but on the other side you're actually able to generate more and more records without having to spend time keying things in, and just make it far easier to record data, get more data in there, and then be able to use that data more easily to make better decisions. So the whole thing becomes sort of self-fulfilling, and lets you make better and better decisions, lets you capture more and more data points which help you sort of enrich how you do your farm management without actually having to do another job. Because your hands are busy most of the time, animals, you're sticking one hand and four litters. Yes.
Yeah. Well, you're done then. Thanks very much. We are going to move on to a demo. So this is our big screen here. We're actually, so make sure you come to us as well at the Ploughing Championships next week, because this will be on display and you'll be able to have a go at Hurley. But for today, James, this is your herd. So we're going to just go through a few of the questions that maybe James has asked it recently. So take it away, James, our demo.
Yeah, so if I was wondering, this is our new home screen that's coming soon. So you'll see from tomorrow, essentially, in the bottom right, you basically got an Ask Hurley button here. So this is up here for everyone's phone. I just tap on that and it'll open up Hurley. So essentially this is, because Hurley is using basic internet, it's basically sitting on top of it. So most of Herdwatch is actually offline, but Hurley actually needs access to the internet, so it may need just a couple of seconds to load up. So I suppose some of the things that we've been looking at the last couple of weeks is, well, the somatic cell count is actually an issue for us at the moment. It started spiking up. So one of the things I was wondering, like, what's my trend this year versus last year? So because Herdwatch is plugged into our dairy processor, so into Revo and a number of other ones, I can send you asking what's my somatic cell count trend for this year versus last year. So all I do is literally type a question, hopefully Hurley is able to manage my very poor spelling. I could have probably worded this in a short way. So basically ask that, and hopefully it's able to give me back kind of a trend of actually what they say it is, because we have it in there, all the data is there, but then just to try and interact with it in a way that's sort of easy and consumable is often the problem. What we're trying to do is just make it as easy as possible. You can see a snapshot of what it is you're trying to find, and then you get an answer, hopefully a level deeper. So you can see it's basically looking at my data, trying to build a respond. So it's actually showing me up here my trend in 2024 and 2025. So it's just,
so it's actually a graph.
Yeah, so it's just built on the graph, and it's trending for each month, what's it looking like. So last November we obviously got something very wrong, but actually I'm sort of, for some reason I started spiking this year versus last year. So it's able to quickly show me that it is higher than it was last year, and then I need to figure out what I do next. And it gives me that visually, but then it also explains verbally here as well. Again, the power of this is that it's plugged into my processor. Every time I get a milk collection, I get my test results back in the Herdwatch, and then I'm able to interact with it in that way.
Yeah.
Because a lot of dairy farmers have it. They have probably an app with their co-op or their processor. That's grand, but it's a data in a silo over there. It's when you bring everything into one place, it's where it gets very powerful. Another thing that's probably, because we did a bit of reseeding this year, is when we reseed, docks just appear from everywhere. So one of the things I was wondering is actually when can I graze cattle after using docks there? So I just use an answer that I prepared earlier. So I just ask when I can raise cattle after using Dogstar, and I managed to spell Dogstar wrong as well. So basically straight away, this way at least 7 days. And that would have taken me more time than I would have patience to go looking for on Google, because essentially it's go to links, find the PDF and find wherever in the PDF it says that. Whereas it just goes and finds that for me. And that's, for me, that saved a lot of time and a lot of me being just cranky for a few hours afterwards.
And even with incorrect spelling, it's still that one.
Yeah. A few other things we asked about, actually, what's the price of dry cows in the market? Because again, we're integrated all the markets across the UK and Ireland, like over 200 of them. It can see trends across that, but also it's looking at information that's available in other places. So it's giving me what the current market information. Dry cow prices are showing that our grade cows are about 620 a kilo. Old or this, so kind of split it out, and then go a level deeper if I wanted. They can ask me actually, so within Roscrea or within Roscrea Mayo, what's the prices, so I can try and figure out where should I bring my cows.
Yeah, I was actually on our pop-up over there, you can see the question that we've asked before, what are the prices like in Kilmallock Mart this week for weanling heifers, so you can be specific as well.
Because a lot of that data is publicly available. I'm just going out and I was checking for you really quickly and then sort of synopsizing it. And that's what it does a really, really good job of, is taking all this information that's out there and synopsizing it in something that you can use. And then you can say very easily, I can go back over the questions that I asked. I'm sure there's plenty of stupid ones in here, but I've been using it for the past number of months. And what happens is you end up going to this before you go to Google for most things, because it knows first of all these questions are farmer related, so it's almost become Google or farming Google now. So I don't bother trying to search that, because Herdie has it faster and has it with better context really. So yeah, and it's just there. Like it's if you can text, you can use Herdie. So that's the thing. It's simple. You don't have to learn anything else. You just basically text, write a question, and it gives you an answer.
Yeah, so like I said, we'll have this display unit at our stand at the ploughing, so you can come and you can have a go off it yourselves, and also just have a look at the general Herdwatch app as well. But thanks very much. We give a round of applause. And so next up we have our second panel. So we're going to welcome up Philip Stewart, so Farmer Phil, as some of you may know, and Andrew Downey. So to introduce Philip first, he has over 95,000 subscribers on YouTube. His engaging videos offer a candid look into the life of an Irish farmer. And then we're also joined by Andrew Downey. He is from 2 Mile Horse in Tipperary. He has mixed enterprise, a bit of tillage as well, and really has been with Herdwatch since day dot. So Andrew, if you want to start, tell everyone who you are and just a little bit about your own Herdwatch journey first.
Yeah, I'm dairy, beef and cereals, farm in partnership with my brother Jerry, and sister gives a hand out every once in a while as well, and that's the main thing. I joined Herdwatch originally because I was just sick of paperwork, just sick of registering calves, animal remedies, all that kind of stuff. You were a double job and you were doing it below in the yard and you were coming up to the computer to input it all in there, and just wanted it in such a way that you do it on the end. That was my original reason why I joined Herdwatch all those years ago, and it's been going good ever since.
Great. And Phil?
Yeah, so we're farming at home with my father and wife live, and we're contractors, dairy calf to beef, tillage, we have a farm shop and a whole lot of bits and bobs going on. We joined Herdwatch, trying to work it out in the car this morning, I think 8 years ago.
Yeah.
So we're a long time with, and like that, I come back from college in Garsheen, and I was sick and tired of all these bits of cardboard with the numbers of all the cattle, the expiries and what was given, and they'd get lost, and then my mother would be looking for them for board B and you couldn't find them, and hardship. So that's we joined Herdwatch back then for.
Great. So the first panel was all about, they were Herdwatch employees kind of telling you the why we did it and a little bit about it. But we said we'd bring on some faces of Herdwatch as well, and some long-time members, very loyal members, real daily live farmers, and just to give a little insight into the farmer mind of Herdie, talk a little bit about technology and farming. But I suppose we'll start with you, Andrew. Like you said, you're with us a long time. Obviously back then the whole idea of technology was fairly new in farming, but you know, at home, what is kind of the role of technology on your farm? Is it just Herdwatch? Have you other systems? And you know, would
No,
you
we were always, even my late brother Seamus, we would have been always kind of moving forward at what's there, like, you know, we wouldn't maybe be cutting edge, but we'd be close enough to it. Herdwatch was definitely, even though you'd say it's only an app, it was just a big jump forward,
yeah.
just time saved, simple as that, and that side of things. Other technology then, on the tillage side of things, I suppose we incorporated auto steer, selection control and the sprayer, stuff like that. All those, just anything that makes life a bit easier. On the dairy side, in the past maybe 3 years, we put collars, put in drafting unit, automatic footbats, anything that just, labour is getting more scarce anyway, that's, you know, day-to-day labour, that's anything that makes life a bit easier.
Yeah.
Yeah, a man quoted me yesterday, I was having a conversation, I was coming over here today with a friend of my own, and he said to me, one man thinking is better than 5 men working. And I suppose maybe I do a bit more thinking than working these days.
Yeah.
That's technology just does help.
But I suppose not every farmer does, unfortunately. It can be very daunting to some people, the whole technology, and even using a phone for Herdwatch can be daunting. So what do you think the idea of AI is to farmers, and just being able to ask it a question and they pull an answer and give it to you?
I think some people are kind of half afraid of it so far.
Yeah.
You know, you hear
Yeah,
all the scary
yeah.
stories about it, but I don't know, I've used it. I've used before Herdy got integrated into Herdwatch. I was using other AI and I can't complain with it, and Herdy is just, it's more of a farmer step forward.
Yeah.
As James says, it's more farmer orientated.
Yeah.
Which can ask the question.
So yourself then, Phil, technology will play a huge role in your day-to-day?
Yeah, like yourself, we have all steer and section control and sprayer. Oh, Matty, calf feeder would be a big one for us, especially the new one with the way the feeder records how quick the calf's drinking, and it sees a deviation and how quickly a calf drinks to pick up on sick ones before they become physically sick. And Herdwatch as well. Anywhere we can bring in technology, we have done, and I was actually using ChatGPT for stuff like nutritional advice and that on the farm. So now with Herdy, we can go to the one-stop shop now.
Yeah. And I suppose, you know, as a young farmer in Ireland, like, technology is huge obviously, but you know, a lot of, say, our age would be really familiar with AI, and even nowadays you hear people of, you know, getting degrees and stuff using AI. So it'll probably be a lot easier going forward. Like, there's people growing up with it now, and they'll probably just look for it automatically. Besides, what used to be done was, you know, going through loads and loads of Google pages and trying to find what you're looking for, and still not getting the answer.
Yeah.
Yeah. So just then, tell us a little bit, Andrew, about, you know, how you use Herdy. What have you asked in the past? Just maybe a little story about, you know, something you've asked it recently and you were, you know, happily surprised with the answer compared to if you were just to ask the answer to Google.
A simple thing, winter crops we were sowing, right? And like what you said there, Katie, normally you might have to Google it or look up a catalogue of variety of barley or wheat seeds, and you just put in, you might have an idea of what varieties you want to sow, but you put into Herdy and ask him, I have 2 certain varieties of winter barley I want to sow. Give me the best of those 2, the pros and the cons of each of them.
Yeah.
And to come on with the strength of the grain, the amount of grain on the head, strength of the straw, all those, the weakness how it might be more prone to disease, stuff like that. And it was instant.
Yeah.
You know, like before, you could spend 10 minutes, 15 minutes looking for it online, didn't find it, and then trying to go from one page to the other, where you've asked it and it's there in front of you straight away.
Yeah.
So
And
it's very fast.
would your decisions be influenced by the information you're reading then?
Oh, yeah, no, would be like, it's there, it's only, it's dragging on, it's bringing the information to you that's there already, it's not making it up,
Yeah.
kind of,
Yeah.
its own, it's there, the information is there, that's just putting it together for you in front of you, that you can see.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And then yourself, Phil, would you be asking some sort of different questions compared to what Andrew's mentioned?
Yeah, no, to be honest, I never crossed my mind to ask it questions like that. for me it was, what's the average weight of the last batch of cattle we put into the shed, and straight away, before this you were going calculator, scrolling through the weights and then divide by number of cattle.
Yeah.
Whereas now you just ask it, or when the last batch of cattle was moved, or just things that I never done me to ask the questions like that.
Yeah.
Now that I know I can, I'll be using it a lot
Yeah.
more for that.
I suppose, like, you know, even you're using it and you're still finding out new things to ask it. I suppose people who will be getting used to it over the coming weeks now can realise that you don't have to just ask it, you know, about your own cattle or your cows at home. You can ask it about, you know, tillage questions,
Yeah.
the mart, the weather. It's literally, you know, there's endless possibilities really, and so that's your little bit of homework to go home now and see how the wild questions that you can ask it. And so, Andrew, if you were speaking to someone now, you know, who had watched this back, they heard you made the local newspaper now after this, and your famous shot on the TV, and they were saying, Jesus, I don't know now about that, or they were a little bit cagey about the idea, or, you know, how to use it, is it difficult? What would you tell them?
For me, I tell them, I've been with Herdwatch years since they really started it, and it's even back then. I remember asking another software developer at the time when I was thinking of joining Herdwatch because it was an app. He says, "No, it won't take off."
Yeah.
He says, "You stick to the computer and all that." I said, "No, I want it on the farm," and I just said, "Look where it is now."
Yeah.
That's 11 years on. And it has improved every time. So I think Herdy will be the same. It can only get better.
Yeah,
And the more it's used by the farmer, I'd say the more we kind of know about you within Herdwatch,
yeah.
and the better the answers will be.
Yeah, I suppose, Phil, you know, you've also been with us a very long time. Obviously, the Herdwatch app from 8 years ago is a lot different to what it is now. And what do you think Herdy will be like? Do you think we'll continue to grow and get better based on your own experience?
Yeah, no, like every time there's a new feature added, and see it pop up on the phone, and oh, geez, that's something that we needed, or that's like Herdy, like now that I know I can ask you any question down the varieties of barley, and like before we've had to be going, oh, go spray for docs, what we spray for, and you'll be looking up Google PDFs to see what kills clover, what doesn't. Now we can just ask it.
Yeah.
Like it's.
We're all learning. Even I
Yeah.
didn't know it did the graphs. When I saw the graph pop up, I was really surprised. So it's really, you know, even beyond what I was thinking it could do. And so it will hopefully continue to get better and better. And Phil, then yourself, you know, like what I asked Andrew, you met someone now at the ploughing next week, and they said, oh, we saw you on about Herdy. What's it like? Or, you know, do you find it good? What do you think? What would you say to farmers now?
Like it's you always have your phone with you, and you could be looking at a field and you're thinking of doing something, and you can just pull it out, do whatever you want to do, ask whatever question you want to ask it. Like it's there to be used, so why not use it?
Yeah, great. That is it, unless you want to add any more.
Just one thing, we're just after letting in cattle about Herdy as well, and I just put in input the silage analysis into it, maize and silage analysis, and what other fodder wheat I was using, and actually even the variety of fodder wheat, and it brought up the kind of the energy content of it and all that. I just asked Herdy to devise a nutritional plan for it, a TMR mix for it, and in a matter of, instead of waiting, as we were talking earlier on, Phil, 2 weeks for nutritionists to get back to you, Herdy had it back in 20 seconds of even.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So really is, like I said, about farm advisors. I hope there's no one watching us here today, or they'll be giving out about us. But no, that's a very, very good story, and you know, other people will love to hear that it literally gave you a nutritional plan. So that is a great story. Thanks for sharing that. And just to remind you all again, I know I've said it a million times, we are at the Ploughing Championships next week. Phil and Cammy from Scotland will be on our stand on Tuesday morning. I'm correct, aren't I, Phil?
I think so.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Tuesday morning to officially launch Herdy. Make sure you come to our stand. We'll get Phil to ask it. Now you can practice over the weekend now your wild questions, and he'll give it a crack on the day. Cammy will be there also. And then we have a rake of influencers from on Wednesday and Thursday as well. Forget about what the weather looks like next week. We're all farmers, bring the wellies and the raincoats, and we will see you then. But round of applause for our second class. And I will leave it there, so we'll see you all next week. Thank you.